What is going on? Excited to be back here with you guys live. I got my friend and buddy AJ Maida here with me. My name is John Mikish, and we're going to be talking about all things related to real estate agents and offices today.
Let's do it,
Yeah,
man. I'm excited.
nice, man. Well, we're getting into the summer here. What have you been up to?
Man, right now we're finalizing our trip to Michigan, which is where I grew up, and we have a vacation home there. So we just locked in the dates, booking flights. So we'll be there for 3 weeks in July. So that's exciting. And speaking in San Antonio during that time too. So flying out of Detroit to San Antonio to speak for a few days. So
Can you go
excited.
direct from where you're going to be in Michigan to San Antonio?
What's that?
Do you get to fly direct or you got to connect somewhere?
Yeah, direct. Thankfully, yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, 3 hour flight, so nice and easy. Flying first class,
Nice.
only way to fly.
I know it's so funny. Like anytime we fly, and like I'm coming out of Bozeman, so the airport's real small. Flights are super limited. There's almost always a connection, and sometimes I'll opt to go not first class just because it's direct. And I don't know, man. I just experience a lot of flight delays, especially when I'm flying around the wintertime in this area, and missed connections, and then it just starts a whole chain reaction. But anytime I fly and it's not first class, my 14-year-old daughter Jane, I just get like the biggest eye roll. And then every little inconvenience, and like every time we're standing in line, she just looks at me like, "Really, Dad? Is this really what we're doing?" And I just, I can't help but feel like a total idiot. But
Yeah, we could do a whole nother topic on how to be able to raise children in a more affluent family. That's I know the way you and I and Lars too, the way we grew up, we weren't raised that way, but now that we've all had so much success in real estate and we all have kids, it's like, how do we, live our ideal lifestyles, which includes flying first class, but also not, get them too spoiled or entitled, which, my kids are so young. I haven't had to deal with that yet. So I'll let you and Lars take the lead, but that'd be a great future topic.
For sure, man. I mean, I didn't fly for the first time until I was 19 years old, which is so crazy. My parents
That
are
is
not flight.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your mom won't get on a plane, right?
Not still to this day. She won't get on, and she lives in North Carolina, and I'm in Montana. And last time she came to see me, she had to drive, and it took her 3 days to get here.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Anyway, man, I'm excited about this topic today. This will be my last call for a few weeks. I'm headed out to Northern California, and I'm doing a marriage retreat with my wife, and then we're doing Lake Tahoe and then Yosemite National Park, and then we're headed out to the coast. So excited about that. But our buddy Lars will be back next week. He's been off for the last month, and he'll be bringing some fire next week for sure. And so yeah, let's get into today's topic.
Cool.
Do real estate agents need an office? What's your knee-jerk response to that, AJ?
It's knee-jerk response would be yes. However, it doesn't need to be the traditional office. They certainly need a space where they can be focused, be inspired by their space, but it could be a corner or a bedroom in your house. It certainly does not need to be a traditional bricks and mortar office. So, it could be a coffee shop potentially, but I would say the ideal scenario for an agent in most cases is to have a great home office that is quiet, where you can focus to really get at least your lead generation done, and then be in the field doing deals as much as possible. What are your thoughts? Because I know as an independent broker owner before joining EXP, you had a beautiful office space for your team. I know teams and individuals, we can have two answers for that, but what's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends. I think sometimes we classify things as must-haves, or with such certainty, but it may or may not be that way. Throughout my real estate career, I went from, hey, being at a physical real estate office is a must-have, to now I could probably run my business from anywhere. Coffee shop's a little bit hard for me just because I'm loud on the phone, and I'm kind of one of those people that like to pace when I talk. So if I'm like walking around the house or whatnot, and I did the same at my real estate office. But when I started out, I worked at an office. It worked really good for me. But AJ, I'm so old that when I started in real estate, all this technology didn't exist. I didn't even have cell phone service in the area I lived in, upstate New York. There was one spot 30 minutes from my office where you could pull over on the side of the road and you could get a signal for like a second.
Wow. That's
So
crazy.
yeah, man, my first 3 years of business, it was going to the office. It was using the fax machine, and like we fax our offers in. There was no DocuSign or anything like that. And then I moved down to North Carolina, and I went to Keller Williams, and they had an office cubicle, and that was my first experience in a cubicle. Didn't like it. Felt awkward to me. I ended up not staying there very long, and I went to another real estate company, and they had an office that was like a collective environment, which I really liked. And later on, that's kind of how I modeled, my office. Went to Remax and, built out the whole second story of that company, and had my whole team up there. And I made it a requirement to be there in person. Like I really felt like I couldn't create a culture I couldn't create that culture of accountability that I was looking for unless I had that full office space. So I made it a requirement. So I guess if you're asking me at that time, I'm like, it's a must have. But COVID changed a lot, and I think we all got used to finding ways to be productive in our own environments, whether that's a house. I mean, at one point, my wife had an office in our closet. It was a big walk-in closet, and I actually dug it, man. It was awesome. It was just big enough to have all of her stuff in there, so it was like very compact. And I was like, dang, that's a great office. And I remember you and me, when we mentored with Brendan Burchard. For a while, he was doing his podcast out of a closet. So
Yeah.
I think that idea and the concept of the office is changing.
Yeah. I think so. And I think offices can be a really good thing if it's a really great office with like a winning culture, high energy, or it can be a really bad thing if it's a culture that, everyone's just kind of sitting around. Maybe there's some agents there that are kind of negative, and maybe just a toxic environment. And based on, my limited experience, because I've only been with 2 real estate companies, but also going into other real estate companies for closings and whatnot, usually you show up and it's like kind of a ghost town. There's not a lot of people there. It's quiet. There's no energy. And it's like, man, this is not some place where I want to be making my lead generation calls or doing business over the phone, because you're on the phone and everyone's eavesdropping because it's silent. You can hear a pin drop in the cubicle next to you. I remember when I was with KW, they built a prospecting room based on my request, and the walls were so paper thin. I would prospect it from there sometimes, and would be so embarrassed when someone would like just hang up on me like mid-sentence calling expired listings. I would finish like my first line of the script at least, so in case the person next to me or someone was walking by, if they heard me, they would think I was having some success on the phone and not just being hung up on over and over. So I started prospecting from home for that reason. And even like negotiating offers, you never want to have someone listening to your conversation, like several people that are filling out paperwork or whatever in the cubicle next to you. And I found working from home being really good. Just wake up, I'd have my gym shorts on, t-shirt kind of like I got today, and you just get my headset on and go right into it. And when I built a team, though, I got an office outside of the Keller Williams office a few years later. And I really liked that for having a team, because it was a place where we could build our own culture, much like you had with your Remax, that second floor. We were in the building next to the Keller Williams, our own office. Everyone came into the office, prospected together, and that was really great. So I think if you have a team, it's essential to have an office to build that winning culture. For the most part, I would say 90% plus of teams should have an office for their team. But as an individual, you can certainly work from home. I mean, I'm so ADD, I feel like sitting in an office environment, most office environments that feel really stale, I go crazy. It's like a caged lion, like, let me out. I need to get out, move, just being at home, being able to work and then go to the kitchen and make a smoothie, or go in the backyard and have a call. Like, I love that. And then by noon, go to the gym. After the gym, go to appointments. You can set it up really nice to where it's an energizing environment, even working from home.
Yeah, it's like you said, man, an office can be good or bad. And a lot of times like that dynamic is outside of our control if it's not our office, which is why I wanted to be above all the other Remax agents, because most of them weren't doing very much. And we had a high level of productivity that we expect out of our agents. And when I moved from Remax to my own independent, I wanted this open kind of coffee shop atmosphere of an office. which back in 2014 was pretty progressive. Now it's pretty customary to find office space like that. But I had this vision for it. And the concern that I got from the agents was, well, are we all going to be able to be in this kind of open space and be able to prospect? So I did a bunch of research, and what I found is that there's actually tools. There are these, for us, it ended up being a medical grade white noise system, and it was ridiculously expensive, man. For like 2,000 square feet, it was like $30,000. But I was all in on it. The concept is this. If you're in an airplane when the airplane's up in the air, there's a lot of white noise. Like you could be talking to the person next to you, and somebody 3 rows behind you can't even hear you that you're talking.
Yeah.
So it was sort of that concept, and we had all these little like sound emitters, and we also ran music, so we could have music on with the white noise machine on, and everybody could be on the phone, and nobody was distracted by the person next to them. It was really kind of bizarre. If we turned that white noise machine off, the music would distract people, the other conversations would distract people. So it ended up being a really effective tool to have an open concept. And it worked for us really well for years.
I remember going to your office and hearing that, and it was really nice. I just didn't know it cost that much. That's crazy. I had it was like a $70, $100 small white noise machine for my office because I was super cheap on it. But we had, over the ear headphones by a company called Savi, I think it was SAVI, noise canceling microphone right here, and everyone would wear those, and that worked out great too. So the noise canceling was really good for the prospect on the other line. And it's cool when everyone's doing it together. If you're in an office where you're the only one prospecting, well, then it's like you're a little self-conscious. You're like, okay, who's listening to me? But when everyone's doing it, everyone's on the same program, calling the same leads, using the same scripts. It's like, if you are eavesdropping a little bit, you're learning, and everyone knows they're there to win together. It's like you're practicing, basketball together. You're practicing real estate together, which is a really cool environment to be in.
Yeah, we found that to be true too. And we always had ISAs, inside sales agents. So they were constantly on the phone, and it would make the other people that weren't on the phone feel like, oh man, I better get on the phone. So, I feel like those that leverage that space leveraged it to the advantage of getting the results that they wanted. And, a lot of times, and I'm sure you've experienced this more than me because you've been, over at EXP longer than I have. But a lot of times we get comments like, oh, well, I need an office. So if you're talking to somebody and maybe, asking them about, have they looked at EXP for the first time and, what are their thoughts there? Do you ever get that? Like, oh, I need an office. And like, what do you say to that?
Yeah, I definitely get that sometimes. I think that's kind of a knee-jerk reaction, going back to that for agents, like to just kind of throw that out there as a thought. So I'll ask clarifying questions, okay, great. How often are you currently going into your office? And I get one of 2 answers. And one's, oh yeah, really, I'm not going in unless I'm picking up a check, so it's like, I'm never there. But in their mind, they're just like, for the most part, agents, depending on your age, you're kind of used to the concept. If you do business, you go into an office. So it's kind of hardwired into us the way, we grew up. It's like you see it on TV, people are in offices. So it's kind of just like a belief that we hold that isn't even true. So I kind of just ask some clarifying questions, how often do you go in the office? And oftentimes it's, well, actually my office is kind of a ghost town. And the other one is, well, I go in there every day. So I'm just like, okay, great. So at EXP, we get membership to Regis, which is a corporate office space, co-working space. And you can actually go to just regis.com, put in your zip code and see any facilities that might be near you. And you get free access to that co-working space all around the country. So when I joined EXP,
there's sister space too. There's Spaces company.
Oh, and the Spaces company. Yep. Yeah. So I actually really enjoyed that. Even when I had my own office space joining EXP with my team, I would go to the local Regis right off Langtree by your office. And just on my way to an appointment, I would pop in there. I would actually just send my listing paperwork to that facility. The receptionist, and I'm not sure if they would do this everywhere, but the receptionist would have my listing paperwork ready. I would just grab it from her and go because I didn't have a printer at my house because we had just moved. But there was they have these, they're called Think Pods. It's this futuristic cubicle inside a lot of them. It's super private. The walls are tall. So you probably don't want to do a lot of calls in there. Like I wouldn't be prospecting the co-working space, but it would be certainly appropriate to have some business calls. No one else was ever in there. It's just always just me. And it's just a great place to focus on my business and not be actively in my business. So I was able to get away from my team, have that space. And you get, I think it's a 10-15% discount on conference rooms, on private offices. So when I travel to my home in Michigan, I'll actually go to the Regis space there, about 20 minutes from my house in Michigan, and I'll get a private office for myself. It's like $80 for the day, and I'll record like 3 YouTube videos. So it's really awesome. I really enjoy that. So it's kind of like, hey, if you want an office, we have that available to you. And if you realize you don't need an office because you're, maybe just need a prospect for a couple hours in the morning at your home, if you are a prospecting agent, I know a lot of people have the luxury of not having to prospect based on their business type. You can do it from home, or you're out just working. You're out seeing clients, showing houses, listing appointments. I know this for a fact. When I was at KW, our office had 250, 300 agents. And on any given day, if I would go in there, there'd probably be anywhere from like 15 to 20 agents max. Probably so less than 10% of the company was actually at the office, and it was always the same people. So just do the math. 90% of the agents aren't there. So if you're part of the 90%, well, then save that cost, because you're paying for that office space at your brokerage, whether you're there or not. You're paying it for the people using it out of your split. So at EXP, we just have low splits, low cap, great benefits like stock and revenue share and so many other things, health insurance. So you get these added benefits because you're taking control of your business and either working from home, acquiring renting your own office space, or using Regis for free because we got that deal. So,
yeah, I think a lot of people that are, maybe underinformed about EXP would be a good way to put it, just assume like, oh, I can't have an office. For me, an office was important. I was running my team out of it. So when I came over to EXP, I just kept my office and turned that into a branch office with EXP, signed a single piece of paper, and they still have that office to this day. So, but I do think it's important to help people realize like, hey, what is the office that you currently have that you think is a benefit? What is the actual benefit you're getting from it? And what are you actually paying for it in your split? Because you're paying for it one way or another. I've also found ways that are, free and available. So like in Bozeman, we have a local coffee shop, and they have 3 locations, and every one of their coffee shop locations has a private boardroom in the back, and it's totally free. You just go onto their website, see if it's available, pick a time, book it. So, there could be the idea of maybe you're leaving an office space and that's part of the package or part of the deal. And now you're going to leave and you're going to come over to EXP and you're going to still want an office, but maybe there's a way where you could purchase an office suite, use a Regis if one's available. If not, purchase an office that's small and inexpensive. And then if you want to do collective meetings or meet with clients, you can meet at a coffee shop if they have an option like that. Hotel lobbies are great options. They're often free or very low cost. And, when people tell me that they need an office to meet clients, I challenge that a little bit, because you always want to look at it from the perspective of what's best for the client. And rarely is your office and the location that your office is in going to be the best for your client each and every time. It's extremely rare that would be the case. So if that's true, the better option would be, hey, client, what's convenient for you? I can come to your office, or I can meet you at a coffee shop or a cafe near you or en route between your home and your office. What works best for you? And more often than not, they're going to appreciate that option better than having to come figure out where your office is. So,
totally. There's about zero chance I would drive to someone's office that was out of my way. It's like,
totally.
Okay, I'll call a different agent.
So, we've got options. We've, Regis, having somebody get an office space of their own, creating your own environment. So like if you're part of an environment right now that you really like, let's figure out what you like about it, and let's recreate one that's your own and use that as something to help you attract and grow your team and scale your business. So there's a lot of options, that we can certainly help you navigate and assist you with. Just let us know how we can be of assistance there. That's a topic that I just felt like we needed to talk about, because I think so many people still are trying to get their legs underneath them. Like, COVID happened. The market was super hot. The market's not so hot in some markets now. And I think people are just coming up for air after all of that and saying, okay, wait, like everything is so chaotic right now. I got to get back to the basics. I got to figure these things out. And office space may be something you're thinking about. Let us know how we can help you with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Business it's a math formula, right? So a lot of agents, they just get really busy, or they maybe just aren't the best at analyzing the math. So when looking at brokerages, you really should kind of spreadsheet it out. And that's one of the things that we can help you with. So if you guys are interested in what we're talking about, looking at EXP as an opportunity, you can check out the link in the description, get on a call with one of us, and we'll actually, on a spreadsheet, side by side, look at your current brokerage, EXP, or maybe another brokerage that you're considering. And if office is important to you, well, we'll actually factor in a budget for you to pay for your office space, but we'll also look at your current split and cap, the split and cap at EXP, the free stock that you can earn at EXP, and just really look at all of the value that both brokerages offer, and look, well, net, where does it make the most sense? Because, if you had to pay, say, $500 a month for office space, or $1,000 a month for office space, but you're getting, say, $16,000 a year of free stock from EXP for being an Icon agent, well, that stock isn't going to more than cover your office expense. So that would just be a simple example, but there's so many line items on a spreadsheet that you need to compare side by side, and some of them are tangible and some are intangible. So it's really important for me, whenever I'm making a business decision, to spreadsheet it out, do pros and cons analysis, and also talk through it with somebody. I just find by verbalizing my thoughts, my thought process, whether or not they even give me feedback, just by actually being able to verbalize it, it clarifies my thoughts and my thinking so much. So a business assessment call that we can do, I think would really help for those considering maybe making a move.
Yeah, how about that free stock? Nice little bump we got this morning.
Man, I saw that. We were up 20% at one point. If it's, I'm checking right now. It was
nice though.
Yes, 19% up right now. And because of that, so this is kind of cool. We're on topic now. So EXP it was announced today that we got added to the S&P Small Cap 600, which is important for a company to get added to different, like, I think it's an index. So different indexes like this, because that index is required to invest a certain percent of their allocation into each company. So it essentially means that we're going to have more funds being allocated into our company now, because that index is now required. I believe required would be the right word. I'm not a stock expert, full disclaimer, to invest.
Any company that's invested in that index is now going to be sending, whoever they're managing their retirement funds, what have you, they're going to be sending money to that to buy stock from us. So, that's obviously an amazing thing. Like, we didn't do anything. Yeah. Continue to run our and running a good business that's profitable with no debt, get you into things like that, and we'll continue to grow.
Yeah, right there. Let's see.
Nice,
19%. Nice little bar graph there. Yeah, it's cool. Like,
I got a lot of stock that's going to be like a 6-figure bump for me today.
Yeah, nice little bonus.
Yeah.
It's just nice being at a company that allows you to have a financial benefit that is yours to dictate where that extra money goes. Like, specific example, when I was at a brick and mortar office prior to EXP, there was a helium tank machine for open house balloons. And just to keep that machine in the office and full of helium on a monthly basis, this is coming from my team leader at the time, it was $500 a month for open house balloons. I really didn't even do open houses because I was just focused on prospecting, and I didn't feel open houses were a great use of my time. And even if I did open houses, I could have went and got my own balloons for a couple bucks, so like my split was going to something as silly as a $500 a month helium tank. Whereas when I joined EXP, I had a lower cap, lower split, and those extra proceeds that I was able to keep, that net profit was able to go to whatever, a nicer vacation, a nicer car, my own office, leads, a virtual assistant maybe. So it was a really good move for us.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, the reason I left Remax and started my own real estate company was because even on a 95-5 split, I was paying in over 6 figures a year to run my team there. And I was like, man, I don't even use this hot air balloon in any of my marketing. In fact, I intentionally keep it out because I want to look different than all the other agents at my office. So I was like, man, I'm spending a lot of money on this hot air balloon, and I've never even been up in a hot air balloon. So
that's on my bucket list. Well, how many times? I'm curious what your answer is, but how many times did someone actually come into the office to meet with you when you were selling homes still?
I think a couple. I can think of a couple specific clients, only because we would do a lot of advertising down in Charlotte, which was like 30, 45 minutes south of us. And when I was bringing people up for the first time, I try to get them to meet at my office so I could like eliminate some of the properties they thought they wanted to see, so I didn't have to drive around the whole lake, which was hours and hours of time. So it happened a couple times, but it would have been easier for me to say, hey, meet me at the Starbucks right off the exit than, hey, get off the exit, go down this road, then go through this alley, and then come in this back door, and then I'll be there. Like, it was just so chaotic. But I tried it a couple times, and then I just abandoned it. And then Starbucks and Panera Bread were where we met everybody.
Yeah. Same here. If you have an office, of course, it's nice when they can come to you, but it's like a whole nother like script that you need. And then you gotta have like an objection handler of why they should come. Cause most are just like, can you just show me the house? Like, and then you're like, well, no, you gotta come to my office first and do a full buyer presentation. And I gotta get you pre-approved to my lender that's down the hallway. It's like, hey, I'm just trying to see a house, so like, often you lose clients from that sometimes. And, so I always like, either to show them, a freebie house before going down all that, or just doing like neutral ground, like a Starbucks. Hey, let's just meet at Starbucks real quick, kind of go over the properties that you want to see and your criteria. And I can show you some houses that you might have not yet seen on the internet. And then just met halfway. It's a very easy problem to solve if you feel like you're giving up office space by coming to EXP, because we have so many solutions like we talked about.
Yeah. I think it's a good topic. And I think, people out there, hopefully it's, raised some ideas for them to reconsider this office space that they think they're not paying for, that they actually are paying a lot for, not only in hard costs, but also lost opportunity with the restock that we get. So we'll continue to bring you topics like this that we think are relevant to agents in general. Whether or not you're looking to make a switch to EXP, I think this conversation is relevant for a lot of people to really assess what is the financial consideration that they're giving for an office, and why are those reasons. So I appreciate you, brother. And I'm looking forward to having Lars back with us next week. And then I'll be catching up with you guys here in a little bit.
Yeah, you're going to have an awesome trip and marriage retreat, man. I'm excited for you.
Psyched, man. All right, guys, we'll talk to you next week.